Hey guys, it's Jack here today, and today I'm going to be doing an album ranking of one of my favourite bands. Been meaning to do this for a while. Last one I did was of A Month and a Half, another band I enjoy. But today I'm going to be doing one of Cannibal Corpse, and there's only a couple albums I don't like from this band. Most of them I do enjoy. Some of them are among my favourite albums of all time. Definitely one of my favourite bands of all time. So without further ado, let's get started. So there's only a handful that I don't like very much, and even them, I can put them on and have a good time. So my least favourite is The Wretched Spawn. I don't really like this album. I think the production's really bad. If I had to choose a favourite song, it would be Decency Defied, which had a video. That's a good song. There's a couple of okay songs that I enjoy on it, but it's not one that I go back to very often. So Wretched Spawn, my least favourite. Next up, we have Gallery of Suicide, which I think has some better songs on it. My favourite one would be Sentence to Burn. This one does have some better songs on it, and the production's definitely a bit better, but it's still relatively badly produced. It's not the best produced in the world, but it's not a terrible album, and I can put it on if I'm in the right mood and still enjoy it. That's how good Cannibal Corpse is, and we're only a couple of albums in, so there we go. Next up is Red Before Black. I like this one a little bit more than the previous two that I talked about. My favourite song would probably be probably the title track. I'm going to say the title track, Red Before Black. It was a very good song, very brutal song, and that's probably my favourite on the album. Next is the most recent album, Chaos Horrific, which I picked up when it came out. Do enjoy it. I just think it's kind of by the numbers, Cannibal Corpse. It's a good album. Still get a decent score, but compared to some of the other ones, it's fairly mid. If I had to choose one song, a favourite song, it would be Vengeful Invasion, would probably be my favourite song. It was a good track. And it's a solid album, but judging by some of their legendary albums, it's, mid, good, still good. You get the pattern. Next up is Vile, the first album with George Fisher, Corpse Grinder. Sorry, been drinking the previous evening, so I'm a little bit. But yeah, first album with Corpse Grinder, George Fisher. Enjoy this album. My favourite song is Devoured by Vermin, the lead single with the video. Classic song, one of the songs that I first heard from them when I was getting into the band properly. Devoured by Vermin is my favourite. There are still some really good songs on it, but I have to choose one song, it would be that. Next up, we have Violence Unimagined. This was what I picked up when it came out. Still enjoy it. Yeah, this is a good record. Definitely better than Red Before Black. If I had to choose one song, it would be Surround, Kill, Devour. That's a good track. It's a good album. Definitely better than Red Before Black. Next up, I would go with Gore Obsessed. I really enjoy this album. Some good stuff on here. Pit of Zombies would be my favourite. It's, a good album. Definitely a good mid-era album. There are better ones, but this is a good one. Next up is Bloodthirst. Dead Human Collection would be my favourite song. This is a very good album. Now we get into I feel like, Gore Obsessed is probably borderline amazing, and from now on, these are amazing albums, great albums, great Cannibal albums. TV's, come on, just mute that. Yeah, I've kind of got my telly on in the background, and if you don't press it for a while, it predicts what you want to put on with it. But yeah, Bloodthirst, I feel we're getting to the great Cannibal albums now, for sure. Dead Human Collection, Pound Into Dust is cool as well, but my favourite song would be Dead Human Collection. So yeah, we're getting to the really good albums now. Next up, I would say for me, my favourite, next up, still feel the drink from previous evening. But next up, I would go with Eaten Back to Life. Favourite song would be A Skull Full of Maggots. Really classic song. Enjoy the whole record though. And next up, we're going to go with The Bleeding. A lot of people would have this like number one or two, or at least top three. I still really enjoy this album. Staring Through the Eyes of the Dead is still absolute timeless death metal anthem. Among one of the first songs I heard from the band as well. I still really enjoy the album. My favourite would definitely be that song. I still really enjoy the whole album, but I would not put it in my top five or whatever. But still a classic Cannibal album. And that's all I'm going to say. Next up, we have A Skeletal Domain, and I'm just going to say the production on this album is absolutely insane. Enjoy this entire album. My favourite song would be High Velocity Splatter, whatever the fuck it's called. High Velocity, fucking title of the song. But yeah, that song, the fucking opening song, High Velocity. I'm going to have to fucking Google it now because I know exactly what I'm fucking on about. High Velocity Impact Splat. I knew what I was fucking talking about. Yeah, that's my favourite song on the album. Obviously, you've got Killer Become as well. Really fucking love this album. I feel like the production is amazing on this record. Generally amazing. It's so crisp. And there's another modern album that I think beats it, but I think the production on this album was just insane. And I think it's their best produced, probably their best produced album, period, if we're talking just from a production standpoint. Really love this record. Skeletal Domain is a great record. Definitely one of their best ever. Just going to say that. Next up would be Evisceration Plague. Total Track is my favourite. Absolutely love that song. So among one of the first songs I ever heard from them for sure. This album was remarkable. This period of the band in general, just wow. Like these couple of albums around this time. Spoiler alert: you're going to see another couple coming up quite soon, which you probably already knew if you're a fan. But Evisceration Plague's amazing. All the other songs are great as well, obviously. Priest of Sodom, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, great fucking record. You don't need me to, that's what I'm saying, you don't need me to tell you what the songs are called. Yeah, good shit. Good fucking shit. But while I prefer was the album before that, Kill, my favourite song would be Make Them Suffer. If I'm going to choose one, I really love that song. Simple, to the point. Make Them Suffer. Make them suffer. Make them suffer forever. That was another early Cannibal Corpse, not early as in on their career, but early into my fandom for the band. It was one that I got into early on. So yeah, Make Them Suffer. Death Walking Terror was another one I got into early on. I remember going into college listening to this album and just absolutely insane feeling, just felt so alive, you walking around college on my breaks, just feeling just totally chill. So yeah, really fucking good album, and holds a lot of nostalgia for me, and it's just, yeah, a fucking masterpiece. Next up, we're going to go with Butchered at Birth. What can I say? This one's very nostalgic as well. Vomit the Soul would be my favourite song with Glenn Benton, of course. Yeah, great album. The whole thing's amazing. Don't need to introduce it to any long-time fan of Cannibal Corpse. You probably know this record. And yeah, it's a classic. Next up, so we're not quite at my favourite yet, are we? Of course. So next up, this used to be my favourite. And even after the album, which is my favourite, come out, for the longest time, this was still my favourite. And it's so flipping close between this one, my number 2, and my number 1. So my second favourite, which was my favourite for quite a long time, in fact, Tomb of the Mutilated. This is now my second favourite. Oh, it's so flipping close, though. I mean, a favourite song. I know it's a standard choice. Hammered Smash Face, still my favourite song on the album. Song that got me into the band. Still love it. Still love this whole record, though. Obviously, Icon Blood as well. This has got many great staples. Addicted to Visuals. It's got some pretty controversial titles on it, for sure. I'm not going to repeat them all. If you know the album, you know what these song titles are. Yeah, controversial as fuck. This era, obviously, in general, was. And I love this record, and it's an all-time classic. It was my number one for the longest time, but I think my number one overtakes it. It's got the best production. I think if we're talking from a production and like how good the music sounds on, then I would say a Skeletal Domain and Kill and Evisceration are even better than this and Butchered. But Butchered and Tomb of the Mutilated are just so influential and so classic, like for their times as well. They were just, groundbreakers. They really were musical groundbreakers in the metal world. So that's why I have to put them 3 and 2. Yeah, groundbreakers. Absolute groundbreakers. As I say, Tomb was my number one for the longest time, but my favourite album from Cannibal Corpse ultimately is Torture. Torture has the best production, the best songs. It has the amazing Scourge of Iron and many other fucking favourites for me. Encased in Concrete, one of my absolute favourite Cannibal Corpse songs ever. Encased in Concrete's a good one. The whole record's great. I feel like this is their best produced. Every time I put it on, I just don't want it to stop. It's just a great load of fun. I'm going to actually queue up the Encased in Concrete video, as I really loved that track. Really do love that track. That was another one I got into pretty early on when I was getting into the band. And yeah, I really enjoy Torture. I feel like it's their best produced record. And overall, my favourite Cannibal Corpse album. As I say, it's recently overtook Tomb of the Mutilated. And it's took for a long time for that to actually happen. But it's happened, and I like Torture better. And thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed my video. Check out all these Cannibal Corpse albums if you want. Obviously, your rankings will probably be different. No judgment here. Let me know what your rankings are. See you next time.